Hi, I'm Ronda LaRue, and Pete, who is the founder of the OneQuestion.com website, which is a wonderful website on the one question: what is my life purpose? What is my meaning? Asked if I would participate in his interview. Excuse me, little dog. In his interview for email, and I haven't looked at his email yet, but I sort of thought it'd be fun to look at it together and to be surprised by the questions right here, right now, and to consider together sharing the inquiry, the question. I'm known more as probably a spiritual teacher or guide than a life coach per se. I work one-on-one with people for very radical inner self discovery and to find one's own wisdom and what I call your own unique genius. We all have that, and life of passion and purpose has become a very popular and important theme in our culture today. But to me, it's even more fundamental than that. It's actually, as Peep says in his website, the one question, what am I really here for? You know, I mean, that is really the basis, and when we have a sense of that, then a life of passion is a possibility. So I'm just going to dive in and read these questions one at a time, assuming I can read with my glasses, and sit and see what kind of inner answer comes from my own inner sense, and I ask you or invite you to do the same as we go along. So let's see what the first question is. First question is, have you found your purpose in life? If so, how did you find it? I don't really consider finding one's purpose to be really the way it comes about. Have I found purpose? Yes. But do I feel like it's my purpose forever? No, I don't know. It's an evolving thing. So for me, a life of purpose is one that is so engaged in life, so acutely listening to life and to my relationship, my truth within that moment. That purpose is sort of a moving evolution. And if we are listening in that way, there's no choice but to be your life on purpose, in purpose. So yes, I have found it, but it's not an it. It's an artistry. And that's the fundamental difference. I think all people who find purpose realize that it's actually an art form, what I like to say as discovering that you are actually a master work of art in the making, and that you are the master artist. So I guess that will have to serve as my answer to that first question. Let's see. It's question 2. What do you think is the best way to discover life purpose? So I'm just going to play devil's advocate as I do in my working with people and turn the question around. If you look inside of yourself, what is the best way to find life purpose? And if you really get quiet and you stop from the thinking mind and instead drop into an open kind of curious attention, what do you notice about yourself? To me, the best way to find one's life purpose is to actually deny no thing, to not work one thing against the other. Oh, this isn't it, this isn't it, this isn't it. You know, that just creates a constriction and a tension that can never break free into really the freedom of being. So to find one's purpose is to really have the courage and the character to open up to life, to actually have the guts and the gumption to follow what you're attracted to, and including what have been your pains, to deny no thing, to actually dive right into life and to follow it and to be engaged in it so closely that, as I said a moment ago in the first question, purpose is an automatic occurrence. It just is. When we listen to and engage in our own truth with relationship with life, there is only purpose. I know this is going to sound like one of those guru, Zen things or something. So I'm going to ask you, I guess, to actually look at your own life. Look at your own life and look at the part that gets caught up in doubt, question, fear, concern, what if, I can't do that because. And just notice what the actual motivation of that is. Where does it come from? You know, it comes from, basically, it comes from fear. It may sound like very rational fear, very good fear, but it comes from fear nonetheless. And notice, even more importantly, what that does to your being, to your sense of mystery, to your sense of joy. It just stamps it right out. So I'm not saying be a Pollyanna and just hope-de-hope along with any old thing you decide you want to do, but I am saying understand and engage what blocks you. Mostly it's the mind and it's fear. And then see if you can find within you how to meet the longing. You know, we all have this longing. We long for meaning, we long for peace, we long for harmony, we long for love. Well, we can't find it if we don't rise to the occasion as with our character, with our courageous character, and meet that call. So, you know, the longing is a call. So if you can actually step toward the allness of your life, everything about your life, and open to it, listen to it, honor it as a path, a unique path. You know, our struggles are part of our unique genius too. They're all meant to become part of the weaving that creates our masterpiece. So if you can take that call to character, that call to courageous character, that approach in your life, instead of trying to master it, get it, own it, have it, you know, which is a little bit more superficial and always a little bit more fear-driven. If you can open instead to the courageous call to life, just feel in your body the difference in what that feels like, to consider what you may do in your life from that energetic versus from the one that has to, you know, find purpose-driven life. It's quite different. Okay, let's let 3 see what 3 is. Should my greatest passion be my job, or is it fine if it's just a hobby? Well, that's pretty easy. You know, if it's fine, it's fine. If it's fine with you, it's fine with you. Ultimately, it's all the same thing anyway. Ultimately, our job, our relationship, our relationship with our spouses, our relationship with our co-workers, our relationship with ourselves, you know, the way I look at it is that's all our job. It's all part of the job. So to me, it's all living is sacred vocation. There's no difference to me whether I'm writing a business report or creating a sculpture or working with a person on their transformation or sitting and drinking tea. I mean, it really is all in the love affair with life. If we follow and step into that spirited way of living, everything's purpose, everything's passion. But again, it's not finding it out there, it's finding it in here. So whether it be, you know, if your hobby is a great love, yeah, go for it. Eventually, just like anything in life, or in terms of, you know, enlightenment or awakening or being whole, I think we're each called to find that passion in every aspect of our lives so that we become integral, whole, and it all becomes, all of living becomes sacred vocation. Oh, I can read without these. Okay. How does following, this is question number 4, how does following my life purpose fit into today's world where we have to work to make money to support our families? Oh, that's a great one. How does following my life purpose fit into today's world where we have to work to make money to support our families? This is going to probably frustrate a bunch of you. I can feel it coming. Yes, there are the realities, obviously, of supporting our families, you know, living responsibly, doing our part to, you know, maintain our livelihood, etc. So yes, that is a real physical, pragmatic reality of human life. Yes, and it's also a fear-driven excuse to not go by one's passion and trust that it will too provide the means. So we believe, well, if we don't see the money first, show me the money, then we can't do it. I can't go be an artist or, of all things, a spiritual teacher, guide, and afford my house in California. Well, pragmatics would have said that yes, I could not. I mean, this is to hold down a home that through a divorce where I have a huge mortgage payment and no real income to support it. You'd say I'm crazy to follow what my heart tells me is my deepest truth. But I did, and I have, and I'm still here, and I don't know how. So, you can find story after story after story of that as an example of people who, again, as I've used the word, meet the courageous call. It's a courageous call to character, to dare to live one's truth, and to meet it responsibly. To understand, to really start to discern where fear and where the idea of responsibility is the voice of fear, just to stop you. I can't do it. What if? Just another way to never really step into your truth, your passion, your love affair with life, or where it's a real call to just taking care, doing things in a way that isn't totally foolhardy. I mean, it becomes quite easy to make that discernment, but one has to be willing to look at the motives, and when it is really, the energy of the motive. Is it fear of unworthiness? Is it something like an old pattern where you've just gotten used to, well, I can't do it anyway, or I have to uphold my family, or I've got to pay the bills? We have to start really looking at those voices. And look at those voices in terms of the really deep questions of life. Before I die, what is it that I'm really here about? What, at the very bottom of life, is my life most consecrated to? What is the most important aspect of living? Is it that I make my mortgage payment? No, that's really not the most important thing. Yes, do I desire to stay here? Do I desire to have people be able to come? Do I desire to be able to afford it? Yes, I do. But is it the most important thing on which my life is founded? No, it absolutely is not. And we're called to make those clarifications. And when we do, then everything doesn't have to be given up, but you have to be willing to look, have to be willing to see at the bottom what's most important. That's the call to character. So what is your most important, deepest longing, calling at the very bottom of life? To what is your life really dedicated? To me, it's dedicated to trying to understand and express truth. And I don't mean understand up here and express it with some dogma. I mean to actually step into a wisdom, to live from a wisdom, which is very multifaceted and has many different layers. And that's at the bottom of my life, what my life is consecrated to. So, ultimately I would give up other things or any other thing for that if I had to. I mean, that is my number one priority. Within that, then, yeah, I do my best to keep the house. I do my best to pay the mortgage. I do my best to be smart about how I go about following my my deepest calling. I don't just wait for God to have people show up at my doorstep to come work with me. I put out a website. I cultivate it. I tend it. But it's very clear what I'm tending it from. I'm not tending it to just draw in more numbers. I'm tending it to live according to my own soul's passion, and to put forth my effort to be a co-creator in that. So I hope that answers that question a little bit, or starts to stimulate something inside of you. We're so good at coming up with rationalizations of why we can't do something, and then buying it and believing it, and then feeling heartsick and cast down and held down. And really and truly, we think it's been done to us by the culture, by, the need to do this job, the need for that. It all sounds reasonable, but if you really, really, really look, you'll find that it's actually your own fear, your own fear that creates an unwillingness to have the courage to take that leap. what would it be like to actually have the courage to live your life at its deepest meaning and find a way to make it work from there? What should I be doing with my life? I keep falling in love with men and then end up feeling like I don't like them anymore and I want to run away. Sometimes I see no future with these people. I want to be in a relationship with myself and with a man, but how come so many candidates make me feel unsatisfied? Enter Byron Katie. In seriousness, Byron Katie is her website, thework.org, would be a great way of working through that question. As a slight aside, just because it popped into my head. So what should I be doing with my life? I keep falling in love with men and feeling like I don't like them anymore and want to run away. How come so many candidates make me feel unsatisfied? We'll always feel unsatisfied by the other, as long as we're still unclear and unsatisfied with ourselves. It's really, really that simple. When one does the deepest inner work and comes into a reconciliation of oneself, I don't mean muck rake through your pains and sorrows in the old psychotherapeutic model. I mean acknowledge and honor the circumstances of your life that have been wounds, been hurtful, been betrayals, been joys, been triumphs, all of those. Deny no thing, but honor them. See that they were there maybe at some point to protect you in the best way that it could, and at some point it became hurtful or it became painful. But to actually do that kind of work where you recognize and reclaim all the pieces of your life, so that you come into a humbleness with your humanity, so that you come into a vulnerable acceptance of yourself, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, because you've actually looked. It's like have the eyes of Gandhi or the eyes of Christ or the eyes of Buddha and look at yourself and find a way to recognize that it was all part of the journey. And when that happens, when that compassionate self-looking, no blinders on, but no need to just keep fighting against yourself either. You just truly look with curious attention. When that happens, there's an automatic, natural self-acceptance, self-completeness, wholeness that is just recognized. Whole even in the wounds, whole even in the parts that, aren't your strengths. Because you see them and you recognize that they offer something. And when that happens, you're truly, sufficient in a way. You're satisfied with yourself. And when you're satisfied with yourself, it's not dependent on anybody else anymore. And then there can be true love. There can never be real love, real relationship, real unity with another being until or unless you've found that within yourself, so that there's not a neediness. Whenever there is neediness of any sort for anything, it's a way to close off passion. It's a way to close off true purpose, true connection. So a really good red flag for sort of, monitoring within oneself is, what's the genesis of it? Is it neediness? Then there's still some inner wholeness to come to, or to at least sit with and recognize, and then relationship can come from that, and there's not a question of satisfied or not satisfied. It's not anyone else's job to complete us. It's our responsibility back to life. When we act from an inner harmony, we naturally connect with people who also meet us on that level. When we come from an energy of neediness or anxiety, we naturally meet with people that somehow bounce off that neediness, because that's what we're grasping. So as long as there's grasping or needing, that will be the nature of relationship. It'll be great and bad. Good and then want to run away. One has to find their own inner peace and steadiness. And then the relationships just actually resonate within that. It's like a keto. There's no, there's no resistance. There's nothing because you're not needing. Then there's just pure communication. Delight in the other's differentness, otherness. Self-acceptance and acceptance of another. And where something is not right for you, it will just simply not be a relationship. You will not, it will not, he will not. It's all very clean and natural when we're in alignment with ourselves. And it's all very confusing and meddly and mucky and drives you crazy when we're out of alignment with ourselves. Okay. How do I keep myself happy and content no matter what I do in life or no matter what happens? Well, that's an interesting question. It has another one of those sort of paradoxical answers. But happiness, I guess it just ceases to be the main driving interest. It's not that one doesn't want happiness, because of course everybody likes happiness. But it's more that when you really dive into a spirited, alive, vibrant life, it has more to do with wanting wholeness, wanting all of it, wanting to learn what it is to honor all of life. And so, ironically and paradoxically enough, when that aliveness, becomes your sort of your conscious choice in life, that you step into that, contentedness just is sort of a natural byproduct. Doesn't mean there's not unhappy times or hard times, because there are. It comes as part of the condition of being human. Being in this human form has times of sadness and great despair. So you can't even really want for happiness no matter what. And yet, when happiness no longer ceases, when it ceases to be sort of the driving, grasping need, and instead being really alive and honoring life, being fully alive. How alive can you be in this life? When that becomes the spirit of your life, happiness is no longer really the issue, and ironically or paradoxically enough, happiness is just sort of a natural state most of the time. And of course there's times of hardship and suffering, and those two are honored as part of the journey of life, part of the wave that brings the next level of understanding. And I don't mean to make fun of hardship, because I'll be flippant about it. And it's just, there's an awful lot of it in this world. I have an awful lot of clients that have suffered tremendous hardships in their lives, and yet every single one of them, without fail, when they have consciously met it, not hidden from it, not fought against it, not tried to get rid of their suffering, but actually met it, not muckraking, not psychotherapy forever, just honoring it as having something to give them that is uniquely part of their material to make into their artistry. Every single client has done that, has found what they've ultimately been seeking for, which is an inner sense of harmony, peace, contentment. And yes, hardships and happiness and unhappiness come and go, on the surface of life. But it's fundamentally different when it's met from the spirited life versus what I would call more the hidden or veiled, constricted life, trying to get it. Okay. 7. I have read tons of life purpose-related books, watched movies, read the websites, and so on. So I know the stuff. My problem is that I get stuck in the habit of being who I used to be. Do you know any tricks on how to overcome it? Yes, I do. Yeah, I sure do. See if you can notice this within yourself as I'm speaking. Whenever we act out of our old habits, what's really happening? Well, actually, there's two things. One is we're just not being conscious. Whenever we're not conscious, which means be really alive, really present, really here. Whenever we're not conscious, really present, really here, it's always going to be habit and pattern and conditioning, because that's our automatic response. It's hardwired into our cells. So whenever we're not conscious, awake here, it will be automatic, something from our past, running us automatically, autopilot. So the way to get past that is to really, really cultivate being conscious. And to cultivate being conscious is not like sit down and om or sit down and meditate. It's actually asking the question of what you're most committed to. What is your life most founded on? You've got to come to the place of one has to come to the place of recognizing the spirit of their life. Even if the spirit is a confused spirit, there's still a spirit in that. There's still a longing in that. And to literally ignite it, it's a conscious choice. It's a conscious responsibility, actually, back to life, to consciously engage life, to choose to be alive versus to be automatic, to be unconscious. It's a choice. And once we see it as a choice, then it's the vigilance of keeping that alive, the vigilance every day of honoring life over fear, over comfort, over the known, over habit. It takes a lot of vigilance, and it's playful, and it's reverent, and it's an adventure. It's a holy adventure. So there's a couple of things to break out of habit, and then break out of old ways of being, and to know something but to not be able to live it. I mean, that's one of the hardest things for all of us, to embody, something that we intellectually know. And the real way to do that, and this is probably it's going to sound maybe odd at first, but I guarantee you it'll be the most powerful thing you ever do if you do it, is to find that longing. Find how willing you are to say yes to life. Can you choose to be conscious? Can you choose to step into the spirited life, a life of passion, which means meeting the unknown, which means giving up the comfort of the habit, the automatic, and then honor it in some way. Do some act that very closely has the feeling of your deepest longing, whether it be for truth or harmony or peace or love or relationship or whatever, at the deepest level, not the superficial stuff. Those all come secondarily. But you've got to find the kernel of your deepest longing and then honor it. And if you honor it, you've just stepped into life. You've just stepped into consciousness. It's the act that ushers in your choice of a courageous life of character. To just look and see and understand and get, but not give it of your life. If you don't give it of your life through an honoring act, it can't manifest. We're the ones that do it. So it has to be honored. Whatever you see, even if it's despair right now and confusion, if that's your deepest truth, find a way to honor it from the spirit of your longing versus from, oh, it's all hopeless, I give up, if only I had my passion, then I'd go and do it. Find the longing, find the confusion, and honor even that from this almost leap of faith of where your life force is. Give your life force to it with an act that is sacred or playfully reverent, as I put it, something that's creative, that touches the feeling of your heart's greatest longing. It's all you have to do, and life will show you from there, because you've just stepped into life. That is a fundamental, radical step into life. And that's where the passion and the purpose live. They don't live in this other place. So they can never be got from this other place. A couple more. I went to college, and on my second year I discovered I'm actually not interested in what I was studying, but I kept going and graduated. as that was all I could do. It was my only natural that I got a job in the same field. I've been doing it now for quite a few years, but it doesn't give me any fulfillment. I want to do something else, but I feel I'm too old to start over. I feel I have already invested too much time and effort in my field. So when you think about it, every aspect of our life is an investment. It's really a matter of what we do with it and how we bring it to use. So, for example, I was a statistician actually for 25 years, a master's in research and statistics, and that couldn't be much seemingly further from this life calling as a spiritual teacher today. But in fact, it was a great part of my training ground, and not just the actual statistics itself, but the living in the corporate world, seeing what it's like to work with a system, seeing what it's like to work with employees who are, the whole thing is part of your investment it's your material, it's your raw materials of the artistry to which only you can create the artwork. So everything is an investment. Everything is meant to be consciously brought into the weaving of your life in its own time and in its own way, and it's often not in the way that seems obvious. It's often not the job per se, but the experiences and how you learned from the experiences. We're never too old because life is always moving, so there is no such thing as too old. Old is, again, dead box identity over here. Aliveness is never old. Aliveness is always, 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 always new, new, new. So to be truly alive is to always be in the newness, newly engaged in life right now, right now, right now, and bringing everything from my past as part of my unique materials that make me the unique genius that I am. There will never be another person like you ever on this planet. So what are your unique materials, your unique investments to bring together a weaving of your life that is always unfolding forever? And I think it was Albert Schweitzer, I believe, who didn't even write his first book till he was 85. So if we start thinking we're too old for something, we've just pretty much ended our life. Two more questions. Number 9, is finding life purpose a process that takes a lifetime, or can I find it in a day if I do it right? That is great. Love it. Good question. You're going to love the answer too. I think. Yes and yes. It is absolutely a life process, and yes, you can get it in a day. It's one of those amazing realizations that one's purpose is actually not a thing, it's an orientation, it's a way, it's an artistry. Once you get that it's your artistry, which you can get in a day, the whole gig is there. Everything of your life then becomes an amazing journey of a lifetime on this frontier of ever being more alive to the moment, ever drawing from all of the materials of your past in a new co-creative moment of absolute genius, and you will be amazed at the level of magnificence that is you, truly you, when you open in that way to life. It's unfathomable by the mind. Great question. Thank you. Yes, you can get it in a day. In fact, the people that I work with who come to work with me in 3-day retreats, every single one has had amazing, life-changing, radical realization after maybe years of psychotherapy or struggling against the blocks or wanting so badly to find their freedom or find their peace. And every single one has found it, in day 1 or day 2 or day 3, but it's like in an instant. And when you see that you're actually called to a conscious choice to pick up the spirit of your life, and then you are in the life of purpose, when that's seen, the way is known, and then, yes, it's a lifetime journey. It's the most magnificent lifetime journey you can imagine. Thank you for that question. That was great. Last question, 10. If you could give me just one tip for the future, what would it be? Mm. Become clear on what your life is dedicated to, and then court it for the rest of your life. The courting of it is the passion. The courting of your deepest longing is the life of purpose in its ever evolutionary unfolding. You have not just one purpose, you have an ever evolving, like a wave of purpose. You have a magnificence that's meant to meet every moment. So find a special time, find a special place, and go to it with that sense of specialness, and go to it this special time in this special place, and sit down and just ask yourself, what do I most deeply long for in my life? What at the very bottom of my life is my life dedicated to? And find what comes up. It could be love, it could be peace, it could be harmony, it could be relationship, it could be honor, it could be service. Just find what is really there at your heart's truth, not all the superficial things. Those are secondary and they come in their own way when the heart's truth is honored. So find your own deepest heart's longing truth. And then simply find how willing you are to court it, to follow it, to step toward it. See where you're willing to say yes, and see if you're willing to step in and court that longing as your dedication to your life. And then give that decision, give that choice a conscious, honoring act of some sort that has the feeling of your spirit, has the feeling of your truth. Even if it's a feeling of despair or confusion, honor that with spirit, because that's the doorway to your deepest longing for finding peace or for finding understanding, deep understanding. And honor it with an act. And everything that you've been looking for, the questions that are on the wrong level or on the level that blocks you from what you're seeking, will just fall away into this wellspring of your life, because you've just stepped into your life. Once you step into your life, nothing can ever hold you back. Circumstances can come and go. Hardships will come and go because it's part of the human form. But you will have literally, fundamentally made a conscious choice to be alive, and that's all it takes to be in a life of passion and purpose. It's automatic from there. And I don't mean automatic like automaton. I mean it just because you're in the current of life, you move with life. Everything else is separating from life, so it can't find purpose. Something separated from life cannot know life. So you must step into your life in order to know it. It's very Zen-like, I know, but it's actually remarkably simple. It's just meeting your truth and honoring it with an action, a courageous action of truth, of vulnerability, of here I am, I choose yes to life, I choose yes. Whatever that means, I court my longing for truth, my longing for love. And you just by doing that stepped into the life of passionate purpose and the artistry of your genius. And you will be amazed at what you discover is your incredible genius, because it's alive to life. That's what genius is. Everything of your past, everything of your present, everything brought to bear in this moment. Thank you for this. So to Peep, who is the founder of theonequestion.com, thank you for these questions and this opportunity to engage with you in this way. Sort of spontaneously, I just sort of jumped on my chair and turned on my flip camcorder I just got. So that was my first attempt at that. And for those of you who are interested in my work or my writing, my books, I'm Ronda LaRue. It's two websites, rondalarue.com. It's RONDALARUE.com. Or you can find about my retreats and my private one-on-one work with people as a spiritual teacher and guide at OjaiSoulArts.com. So that's OJAI for the city of Ojai. OjaiSoulArts.com. SOULARTS.com. And blessings on your way. May you step into the absolute
joy of your spirited life when you consciously give it a yes. Find your longing and give it a yes, and you will find yourself in the spirited journey of a lifetime. And it'll be a magnificence that is unfathomable because it's so alive to the moment, something we can't even imagine. And so it's best to just do it and not try to imagine it. So say yes.